What's up, everybody? Today's show is brought to you by Bad Officiating. It's the reason that I cannot stand watching Big 12 basketball is the product on the floor is absolutely diluted and diminished. The strength of the players, the success of the teams, their ability to be national championship caliber and to give us some of the best moments in regular season basketball are thwarted, are killed by the idea that Big 12 referees are eternally mega bad, really not good. If you watch the BYU Houston game, you know what I'm talking about. If you watch the TCU Oklahoma State game, you know what I'm talking about. If you watch the Texas Oklahoma game, if you watch the West Virginia UCF game, if on Saturday you watch that game between West Virginia and Kansas, or Texas and Baylor, or TCU and Iowa, see what I'm doing? You see what I'm doing? This is so can I peel the curtain back on why I'm making this point right now? Why I feel almost personally attacked by the Big 12 conference because of the poor officiating. The reason is part of hosting Locked On Big 12, like my job, okay? My job as a podcast host is to talk about this conference. Part of that is I watch almost every basketball game in this league as much as I can, at least now that I'm on the East Coast. I hate that it's so late every night, but I stay up to watch it and I go game to game to game. And one thing is true in every game I watch: the officials suck. And I know, sorry, that felt crass. I know it wasn't crass. It's not even a bad word, but it felt crass. I know every conference makes this ploy, right? They're like, oh, yeah, well, every conference sucks. The Pac-12 sucks. But, buddy, like, I understand. I don't exactly have a vested interest, even when, like, a Pitt plays a North Carolina. I'll turn it on because it's on ESPN. But I very seldom will look at games across the country and other conferences and think, this game is close. At the end of the game, the officials tore it apart. They called 40 fouls. They called 50 fouls, which I've seen in Big 12 games before. That's not abnormal in Big 12 basketball. I don't get that across the country when I turn on ESPN or CBS or FS1 or any of that. What instead I get is, that was a bad call, or that call changed the game. This is not a matter of this call or that call altered the entire game, as much as it is that call that all happened within 30 seconds altered the viewing experience. It altered the flow. It altered me trying to watch really good basketball that you, the officiating crew, are ruining. Like when we look at the box scores at the end of some of these nights and see that the teams combined for 50 free throws, that there were to combine 50 fouls called or 40 fouls called or 38 fouls called. At some point, we have to draw the line and say, hey, guys, this is a physical conference. We can let them play. I'm watching the BYU Houston game last night. And I tell you, I don't think Houston won this game because of the officiating. I am not going to make that case. What I am going to make the case for here is that the officiating made it pretty unwatchable down the stretch. And look, you're in a situation, if you're BYU, where if you want to win the game, it's pretty easy. All you got to do is have one of your guys that can shoot 3-pointers, Trevin Knell, make a 3-pointer. He is wide open, top of the key, gets no easier, down by 1, can put BYU ahead by 2 with around a minute to go, and he bricks it. That is the catalyst, the ultimate catalyst to BYU losing this game. But then that same guy coming down a couple of possessions later, not long later, fouls out because there is a Houston defender who has grabbed his arm, like he is digging his fingernails in his arm, pulling him down to the court. And the Houston defender who's doing this, by the way, again, no vested interest. I'm not rooting for either of these teams. If I had money, it'd be on Houston. Houston's a better basketball team. They won the game because they're the better basketball team. But then Knell was drugged down to the court, and we not only did we call the foul on Knell, who just got drugged to the floor, we go to the monitor to see if we could possibly get Knell for a flagrant foul, to see if Trevin Knell may have committed a flagrant foul when he got drugged to the floor. And it's a moment like that where I'm laying in bed watching this game going, that's unwatchable. Like if I'm a generic fan, if I'm a West Virginia fan, even a fan of another Big 12 team, right? So I'm watching a Big 12 game. I see that and I think, that's so stupid. And it may not even have an ultimate difference in the outcome of this game, but why? And then when that play is over, when that game is over, I go and I turn on the TCU Oklahoma State game. Same stuff is happening to both teams. Like I go in, I turn on a Kansas State, Oklahoma State a couple of days ago. And I'm rooting for Kansas State. I had actually a vested interest in that game because I had money on Kansas State. Oklahoma State with a minute and a half to go. And I know the fans have become a little more apathetic because the team's so bad. But Oklahoma State with a minute and a half to go, they kind of got hosed. There's a couple of times the ball goes out of bounds. It's happened in the Houston BYU game. If you're a Houston fan, this would have angered me, is the referees would call the ball out on Houston, no review inside of 2 minutes when that might have gone out of bounds on BYU. Same thing happened a couple of times late in that Oklahoma State-Kansas State game on Saturday. And I'm thinking, how on earth do we have the best conference in basketball? How on earth do we have the best athletes in basketball in the country? And this is what fans have to put up with night in and night out. This is what players have to put up with, coaches have to put up with. You heard Mark Pope say it a couple of weeks ago, that he didn't say the officiating was bad, but that's probably because he would have been fined if he did. And I don't think if a coach got to the podium and ragged on this being a problem, legitimate problem in our conference, I don't think that they should be fined. I think everybody would be right behind them. I also, maybe this is the saving grace. It's bad for everybody. I'm not making an excuse for BYU losing that game last night. They are 1/14 of this conversation. It is bad for everybody. On a night where Houston might get a win because the referees leaned a little in their favor late, they're going to lose their next game on the road or at home because the referees didn't lean in their favor. Look at West Virginia. I think West Virginia deserved to lose the game by double digits last night. However, you cannot tell me, this was confusing to me. You can't tell me that West Virginia is more physical than UCF. I have watched UCF play enough times this year to say that they're one of the more physical teams in the Big 12. They almost remind me of a Big East team with the length and strength that they have. They shot 25 free throws. West Virginia shot 10. That's weird. You saying that West Virginia was trying to bully UCF? No, UCF's the more physical team. That doesn't add up to me. Now, I don't think the officials made the difference. I think still UCF wins this game probably by double digits. But that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. None of it has. At some point, like if I do my job fully, I just moved to a new house, okay? So it's been tough to do a podcast every day, but I have to or I don't get paid. I get fired if I don't do my job. If you don't watch this show, if people don't listen to this or click on this, I get fired. And now that has an effect, like my performance has an effect directly on me and my company. These people, these officials who get paid more than I do, have a direct effect on the win-loss column of these teams, of the stat lines of these players, of even the future of these players and these teams going into March. And they stink. And we don't do a thing about it. That sucks, man. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. I like to drive fast. eBay Motors is the place that I go when I need parts for my vehicle. I have a leak in my spring thing, in my pipe pump that I had to get fixed. So I went to eBay. I was like, to type in leak in pipe thing fix. They do. Exhaust kits, roof racks, superchargers, LED headlights. Not only do they help those busted pipes or whatever, they also get you those things. eBay Motors got you covered. Keep your ride or die alive. 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. eBay Guaranteed Fit means it will fit. It's guaranteed. eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts your car will never need, the prices you want. It's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home the win. Keep your ride or die alive. ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusion applies. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.